Packers fear, as you know, and maybe you've heard. I think maybe word has reached your royal ear that Jaire Alexander was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team today. My goodness. For, somewhat of a last straw being his decision to become a captain, even though he wasn't made a captain, and head out to the coin toss and almost botched the thing prior to the game down in Carolina. And then afterwards, Jaire was asked about it in the locker room. Here's what he had to say. Thanks to Matt Schneidman for capturing this.
So were you supposed to be a captain? Because the team announces the 3 game captains, and you were the 4th, and you called the toss. What happened there?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's only suiting, I don't think Coach knew I was from Charlotte, so.
So you just did that on your own?
I mean, it was like the guys backed me up, so they knew I was from here.
Did you realize you almost made a big mistake on the call, though?
What'd I do?
Well, you said we want to go on defense.
Yeah.
Which, in theory, they could have said, then you're electing to kick off, which you would have lost the opportunity then to receive in the second half.
Yeah, no, I told them that I said I want our defense to be out there, and they all looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, it's pretty simple what I said. Like, I want the defense to be out there. They like, you mean defer? I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Did he say that to you?
Yeah, he did.
The mic was on.
Oh, was?
Yeah, he heard you.
Oh, really? No, he was just like, defer? I was like, yeah. Everybody was like, yeah. Everybody was laughing. I'm like, what y'all laughing at? Like, it's pretty obvious what I'm asking for.
So did anyone say anything to you when you got back to the sideline?
Why would they?
There's a lot to unpack there, Corey.
But that was after the
gentleman
game,
who
to be
doesn't,
clear. That wasn't after the game.
Yeah.
Suspension, yeah.
No. That was after the game on Sunday.
Yep.
Jaire essentially saying, what's the big deal? It does feel like, and I think Matt LaFleur has now since confirmed that the suspension is not just for the coin toss incident. That was very much the final straw, the proverbial final straw, after a number of other things that have happened behind the scenes. Of course, LaFleur's not going to get into what that might be, but pretty significant move for Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur, which, LaFleur said they did talk about it jointly this morning, to, suspend Jaire heading into this game. Sunday night in Minnesota, playoffs on the line, Justin Jefferson's waiting, and you suspend Jaire for one game. The word is he will be back for the final game against the Bears. What are your reactions there, Corey?
I don't like it. I just don't like it. I mean,
why?
I don't
why
know.
Don't you like it?
It definitely felt okay. So I texted you after. I think you were doing one.
Yeah,
party.
I was literally live, and Matt was asked about it, and Matt tried to explain what happened.
Yeah, and it felt serious at the time, especially with the way that Jaire was acting. Like the fact that he wasn't acting like it was super serious. And, like, the coin toss is a big deal. Like, our strategy on the coin toss is a really, really big deal. And the fact that you're not a captain and you go out there, come on. It's been pretty clear in Packers history if you're a captain. Like, it definitely felt like a big deal, but I just don't like the suspension. I just think if you're serious about the playoffs, you're not suspending Jaire Alexander against the Vikings. You're just not. So it just shows.
I hear you, but
to me, it shows. To me, it just shows. There is no way, okay, last year that they suspend Jaire for the same thing. There's no way. There's no way. And the fact that they know they're in a year when they can kind of get away with this kind of thing to quote unquote right the ship, right? If he's going off reservation, it makes sense. But it just, kind of like the Russell Douglas move. It just feels like, hey, this is a shit year, and we can kind of get away with things that we wouldn't be able to get away with in other years.
Well, I think it's a different context. If it's last year, they're still with Aaron Rodgers, and they're still gunning for a Super Bowl. I think this year, regardless of what you think about the coin toss incident, Matt, like I said, confirmed that this is more than just that. Like, there's other things going on. Who knows what that's in reference to? We don't know.
Yeah, but what
right?
is it then? Yeah, then what?
Well, we don't know. But it's serious enough that they had the conversation this morning, and they decided to pull the trigger knowing the game coming up and the importance of that game and the opponent they are facing. I would submit to the court that probably means there have been some significant issues going on behind the scenes. Now, I thought Mark Tauscher put it perfectly on the radio earlier today when he said this is a perfect opportunity for a reset from Jaire, where now you get to say to him, look, this is how serious we feel about it. This is where not just this coin toss incident, but everything going on this season. We paid you a whole lot of money to be the guy, to come in and shut guys down. And even prior to, you want to look back at the start of this season, even prior to the injury stuff, wasn't like he was performing at his top peak level, the guy we know he can be. Hell, go back to last year. It's like that's not the Jaire they've been seeing. You throw on top of it whatever issues they're having behind the scenes, and then the coin toss incident clearly is like a final straw. It just feels like an opportunity for the team to say, okay, we want you to be the guy. We've paid you to be the guy. We really think you can be one of the top performers, an all-pro in this league. But, man, there comes responsibility with that. There comes, and here's the other part of it. You're doing this. You talk about context. You talk about last year versus this year. Look at the roster. They are literally the youngest team in the NFL, and they've got one of their supposed leaders just making shit up as he goes, completely disregarding all decorum and rules and everything that the coaches and the NFL has put in place. Like, I'm sorry. If you want to send a message, you want accountability, which everyone talks about. I get it, man. I get it. It sucks. It sucks this week, but long term, and you heard Matt talk about that at his presser, long term, their hope is that this is for the best to get Jaire kind of shook to the point where, okay, maybe I do need to dial in a little bit more. I think that's the hope.
I think that's the hope, but I don't think that's going to do what they think it's going to do. Like, clearly there's something going on.
That's possible, definitely.
There's something going on with this defense, whether it's Joe Barry or miscommunication, the Devondre Campbell tweet from 2 weeks ago. There's something happening that we don't know what that is. We don't know whether it's player-related, but this is not, in my opinion, this isn't how you get it right. Because, especially when nothing happens in a vacuum, right? And so, as much as everybody on Twitter is losing their mind and conflating, like, hey, well, why don't we suspend Joe Barry while we're at it? Two different issues, I know. But
totally
the fact
separate issues.
But they are separate, but, again, we're not in a vacuum, right? So, how fans are going to take it, right? They're going to be upset. They're going to be like, hey, you're not taking your season seriously, right? These are some criticism, just saying. I'm not saying they're doing this. I did say that. But,
I feel you.
But so you're not taking your season seriously. You've got your best friend on your team that's proven he's just as shitty as he's always been. Or maybe not your best friend, but one of your best friends.
Right.
So you got a nepo baby on your team you're covering for, and one of your main guys goes off the reservation, and you're not doing anything about this other thing, but you're going to do something about this. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't. Nothing about it feels good. It just. Feels
I agree with
crappy.
your sentiment. I agree with you that there does feel like there's something festering underneath it all, right? The connection between whatever we're talking about with Devondre Campbell connected to Jaire and now this suspension, it's all on the defensive side of the ball. Someone in my mentions was like, where are all the malcontents on offense? It's like, interesting that there are none, right? I kind of jokingly said that's reserved for David Bakhtiari, but, it does seem to be somewhat, like I said, festering on the defensive side of the ball. And I have zero doubt, we've talked about it, we're going to get to this offseason. Joe Barry is going to be gone, and there's going to be a hard reset on the defense. Until then, it's clear the Packers needed to send a message not only to Jaire, but I suspect to their team.
I mean, it's clear that it's to the other team because I don't even know Jaire as a person, but I can tell you right now, this phases him 0%. 0.0%. The little I know about the guy lives in his own world. He lives in his own planet. Okay, this $60,000 fine and a suspension is literally like me saying, "Aaron, give me $10." It's nothing. It's literally a nothing burger. And all
Yeah.
it does is hurt the team. Like I think you're right. I think it's for other people, right? It's for other
It's a
people,
message. It's
not
a message.
it's a
Yeah.
message, but it's like it's just a shit message on a shit sandwich. It's crap.
It's a shit
If your
message.
answer to the
print the T-shirt.
if your answer to the Green Bay Packers defense is to suspend Jaire Alexander because he's insubordinate. Hey, look, your defensive coordinator fucking sucks, bro, and everybody in the fan base is fucking sick of his shit. So instead of doing
maybe in the
something
locker
about
room, too.
an actual problem, and in the locker room, right? So
Right.
instead of actually doing something that anybody could get behind, you're going to do something to fuck with your own game. I get it. I get it from like, hi, I'm in high school or college, but this isn't fucking high school or college. This is the real world. And in the real world, there aren't consequences for superstars like that do small insubordinate issues. And I get it. Yeah, Vince Lombardi would have fired him. Well, we're not in the fucking Lombardi era anymore.
Well, you see, but here's the danger, though. You keep saying like the coin toss or the one insubordinate incident. Clearly, there have been more than just one. Like, this is the problem. Having a conversation about it is difficult without knowing all the information, right? And clearly there is more information that we're not privy to. And the thing that I keep coming back to in my mind is Matt LaFleur talking about the conversation they had, and Brian Gutekunst in the announcement of the suspension talked about a very positive conversation that they had with Jaire. I got to think all parties involved, and to your point, yes, Jaire, very much his own man, very much marching to his own drum. But I got to think this is a good opportunity for him to reset and kind of understand what they expect of him. And look, you're going to say it does no good or it's not going to work. Maybe. It's entirely possible. But I got to think they are at their last kind of straw, their last wit. They're pulling out their last hair trying to get through to the guy. And this is the action that they have decided to take. Now, again, will it be successful? I have no idea. But I'll tell you this, if we turn around next year and Jaire's back to being an all-pro, okay, I think it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's a tough game in Minnesota on Sunday night, but if long-term this gets him back to the level we know he can play at, let's go, man. Let's ride. I'm all in.
Maybe if it does that. I doubt it.
I
just think you're hurting.
Like, I don't
you're
know.
ultimately.
That's my hope.
I don't know. You're right. I don't know what's going on. It's just that this decision hurts the Green Bay Packers more than it hurts anyone else. This decision hurts the Green Bay Packers' playoff chances more than it hurts today's playoff chances for today for a game happening more than it hurts Matt LaFleur, Jaire Alexander, or anything else. Like that, all it does is go. You're putting yourself backwards. And I get you because you're trying to fix the future, but it's like, I don't know. If the guy if a guy's going to be like that, are you really going to be able to bring him back around? That's my other thing. Like,
I don't know. That's a good question.
Like, to your point, right? If I don't know, okay, so you got the coin toss thing, you got going out and being a captain. I get all that, right? And then there's these other things. But if a guy's that insubordinate, you really think something like this is going to? I don't know. It just feels desperate. It just feels kind of schoolmarmy. It feels like I don't like it.
But here's the thing:
there's nothing.
Maybe they are desperate. Yeah, it might feel desperate because maybe they are. Like this is again not having every piece of information. Who knows how many talks they've had with Jaire? Who knows what conversations have happened before this? Like, yeah, it probably does feel desperate because maybe they are. Like, I just think it's hard to like come down 100% on either side, not knowing all the facts. And of course, the Packers are never going to give us all that. Maybe something comes out through reporting. Maybe Domofsky gets something, but like it's much like the Rasul Douglas trade that like everyone hated and still kind of hate. And like I keep seeing people reference that and whatever. And it's like, yeah, that sucks this year, but they're looking long term. They want to win a championship. They're not winning a championship in 2023. They want to win a championship, and they're going to be able to do that if Jaire gets back to playing at an all-pro level. And clearly they think long-term this is going to help get to that end. Now, you're right. We have no idea if that happens. If it doesn't, and hell, there's every possibility it goes the other way, right? Maybe this makes him more like want to get the fuck out of town. Maybe it makes him more insubordinate. Maybe like that's entirely possible. But again, I can only take them at their word when they talk about the good conversation they had with Jaire this morning. Hopefully, he's on board. We'll see.